How can you be talking about some little girls when you you disrespect our granddaughter?
One of Marjorie Harvey's daughters just exposed her for being a terrible mom and grandma. She's completely abandoned her daughter and her grandkids and acting like they don't even exist. And the truth about what happened here is seriously insane. Over the years, Marjorie has built this image of a loving, caring mom and grandma, but it looks like none of that is actually true. Morgan Harvey has allegedly been abandoned by her mother. Morgan is Marjorie's biological daughter and firstborn child. And while Steve isn't Morgan's biological father, he did adopt her after he and Marjorie got married. In an old interview, Steve said that he didn't like us using the term stepchildren because he didn't want to alienate the kids. But now it looks like that's happened anyway, because Morgan doesn't seem to have a relationship with Marjorie or Steve. We know this thanks to Jim Townsend, Marjorie's ex and the father of some of her older kids. He's been speaking out against Marjorie for a while now, and supposedly Morgan is now using him to expose Marjorie for what she did to her. Allegedly, Marjorie has been treating Morgan and her children horribly. She reportedly has nothing to do with them at all, which is insane. And I mean, what kind of mother abandons her child and grandkids?
My little 8-year-old baby Elle crying out, and you just totally ignoring her.
You have to assume that this non-existent relationship thing isn't coming from her. If she didn't want to have a relationship with Marjorie, she probably wouldn't be speaking out against it. So presumably, all of this was Marjorie's choice. But why? Why would she abandon Morgan and her kids? Allegedly, she's done this in more ways than one. Rumor has it that she's even somewhat cut off Morgan financially. Apparently, Steve has been providing financially for all the kids for a while now, and he's supposedly been doing this through Marjorie. On paper, that obviously sounds nice and really supportive, but allegedly Marjorie hasn't been distributing the money equally. But why would she do that to Morgan? Especially since Morgan has 2 young kids. Does Marjorie just not care about being a good mom and grandma at all? Morgan got married to Kareem Hawthorne, aka DJ Bruckup, back in 2013. Then 2 years later, they welcomed their first daughter, Elle Monroe. And 5 years later in 2020, they had their second daughter, Marley Jean. But even though Marjorie always says that she's all about family, and even though she seemingly loves posting about her kids on her Instagram, Morgan, Elle, and Marley are basically never featured on Marjorie's page. I think for a while, a lot of people assumed that there was a more innocent reason for this. I saw some comments online suggesting that maybe Morgan just didn't want her kids to be in the spotlight like that. Maybe she was trying to raise them away from social media, and that's why Marjorie hasn't posted about them. But honestly, that can't be it, because there are a couple of problems with this theory. For one, if this was true, it still wouldn't explain why Marjorie never posts about Morgan either. Her not sharing photos of her young granddaughters could be explained by this theory, but Morgan's absence from Marjorie's posts still wouldn't make sense, especially since we know she doesn't really mind being in the spotlight. We've seen her on Steve's talk show before and everything, so it's not like she's super private. But there's another even bigger problem with this theory, and that's that Morgan herself actually posts about her kids a lot. She always shares photos and videos of them on her Instagram, which is available to the public. So it can't be that she's super worried about their privacy. I don't know about you guys, but I really feel like Marjorie not posting about them has to be a choice that she's made. Something must have gone seriously wrong in her and Morgan's relationship. But what was it? Why did Marjorie decide to leave her daughter behind? And when did this even happen? Here's the thing, Marjorie was actually posting about Morgan a couple of years ago. In 2019, she shared a really sweet birthday message to her on Instagram. She talked about how she was just 19 years old when she became pregnant with Morgan. She was scared and clueless, but she was determined not to mess it all up, which is a little ironic right now. But anyway, this means that they definitely used to have a close relationship. So what happened? How did we go from heartfelt birthday posts to Morgan being cut off? It looks like things really started going wrong around 2021. Morgan started skipping family events, and Marjorie and Steve began doing the same whenever Morgan's family was concerned. For example, in 2021, Morgan's youngest daughter, Marley, celebrated her first birthday. Like I said, Marjorie hasn't exactly been showering her granddaughters with love on her social media, but it gets worse than that, because it looks like she hasn't even been there for them in person for about 2 years now. Back in 2021, Morgan posted about Marley's birthday party on her Instagram. She wrote that she was thankful for her family, and she posted a bunch of photos from the party, but there were some people missing from that post, namely Steve and Marjorie. They actually weren't in any of the photos at all, which is crazy, especially given Morgan's caption. Was her saying that she was thankful for her family a dig at Marjorie and Steve? Steve? Was she trying to say that they weren't really acting like a family? Obviously, all of this happened 2 years ago, but things clearly haven't improved since then. Allegedly, Morgan still doesn't attend any big family gatherings. For example, she wasn't at Lori Harvey's birthday party earlier this year, and this actually leads me to a theory about what might have happened between Morgan and Marjorie. Maybe it all actually had to do with Lori. We all know that Lori is basically the Harvey's golden child. She's definitely the most high profile of Steve and Marjorie's kids, and she seems to get everything she wants. So could it be that Morgan got fed up with a constant favoritism? We don't have a ton of evidence to this theory, but it's clear that Morgan and Lori aren't exactly close these days. If you check the people that Morgan follows on Instagram, you'll notice that she still follows some members of the Harvey family. She follows her siblings, Brandy, Carly, and Winton, but she doesn't follow Marjorie or Steve. And she also doesn't follow Lori. What's more, Lori doesn't follow her either. So there must be something going on there. I mean, maybe it's not actually about Lori herself. It's possible that Lori just chose her mom's side in all this, and that's why she and Morgan seemingly aren't on the best of terms right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if the way Lori gets treated had at least something to do with Morgan's damaged relationship with her mom, especially since it's alleged that Marjorie hasn't been equally supporting her kids when it comes to finances. It could be that she's been giving all the support to Lori. Why would she do that though? Why would she ditch Morgan for her other child? Well, there's actually another theory that could explain all this, and it all has to do with the one person who's actually been speaking out about all this, and that's Jim, Marjorie's ex. Jim is a pretty interesting person. He was actually in prison for 26 years because of some illegal substance charges, but he was pardoned by the then president Barack Obama in 2017. Ever since then, he's been speaking out against Marjorie. He even allegedly wrote a memoir which is going to reveal a lot about Marjorie and who she really is. The title of the book will supposedly be Snakes in the Garden, which feels pretty pointed, but what does all this have to do with Morgan? Well, Morgan actually seems to have a pretty good relationship with Jim. They seem like they're really close, and since Marjorie and Jim clearly aren't on good terms, could this whole drama be because Marjorie doesn't like that Morgan supports Jim? Did she cut her daughter off out of some petty revenge? Obviously, this is all just speculation, but what other explanation could there be for all this? And if this theory is true, it doesn't exactly paint Marjorie in a good light. She always acts like she's this dedicated mom and grandma, but then she was seemingly more than happy to ditch Morgan and her daughters. Like I said, all of this is alleged. There could be a lot more going on behind the scenes that we just have no idea about. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Marjorie abandoned Morgan and her daughters? Why do you think she would do something like that? Let me know in the comments below.